In the past few years, the esports industry has seen unprecedented levels of growth, with more and more esports organizations taking on sponsorships and investments from Fortune 500 companies like AT&T and Disney. Prize pools are growing bigger and bigger, and tournament viewership is breaking record highs left, right, and center. In the time that esports has grown from humble grassroots beginnings to $1 billion industry, there is a term that has savvy investors seeing green, sports team owners opening up checkbooks, and fans unsure if they should be worried or excited about the future of their favorite titles. In today's video, we're talking about franchising. For those who aren't entirely sure what franchising means, let's put it into sports terms. Imagine the NBA. Teams like the Lakers, Celtics, and Bulls have been around for decades. And the thought of one of these teams being sent down to the G League after a bad season is almost unthinkable. And there's no threat of them losing their spot in the NBA unless the team runs out of money. Esports organizations wanted the same kind of security. So some of the bigger esports out there, Overwatch, Call of Duty, League of Legends, started transitioning to a franchise model where, after paying an initial buy-in of a couple $1 million, investors and esports organizations would have a permanent spot in their respective leagues. So now, instead of rooting for NRG Esports and hoping they have a good season so they don't get relegated to contenders, you're rooting for the San Francisco Shock, who have a guaranteed spot in the OWL regardless of performance. While franchising isn't by any means a new concept, its introduction into esports marked a huge step forward for the industry and has played an important role in its growth as well. However, that growth is not without its criticisms. It's a pretty loaded topic, with people on both sides arguing for or against the importance of franchising. So how have we reached this point? Why is it such a point of contention? And most importantly, is franchising as necessary as some are making it out to be? To start things off, let's go back in time to November 2016. SK Telecom T1 had just climbed back up to the throne as the world champions heading into November, and Overwatch's competitive momentum was at its peak, with the inaugural Overwatch World Cup seeing South Korea winning it all. But the biggest news that came out during that time wasn't about any tournament results or player signings. Instead, it came from the announcement and the reveal of the Overwatch League, along with the franchising model that we've all come to know today. While conversations about franchising in esports had always been around before this, the announcement of Blizzard implementing franchising into Overwatch marked the official start of a whole new journey for the esports industry. The announcement of a major esports title finally implementing franchising led to a similar push in other major esports titles, most notably in League of Legends. On November 12, 2016, it was reported that a letter was sent to Riot Games by 18 owners of teams in the North American and European League of Legends Championship Series. In the letter, the owners highlighted 6 key issues with the current state of the LCS, most of which related to the financial risks and instability associated with the threat of being relegated and demoted from the LCS into the Challenger Series. These owners called for the removal of the relegation system and pushed for a franchising model of some sort. Once the letter was leaked to the public, fans of the LCS immediately criticized the owners for their desire to do away with the relegation system, with some even saying they would lose interest in the league as a whole if franchising was ever introduced. Up until this point, there had been conversations about changing the format of competitive League of Legends, pushing for a more open format rather than a closed franchising model. Considering the first 2 seasons of competitive League of Legends, it's easy to see why. The early years of League of Legends saw the creation of 2 of the most popular esports organizations in the world, CLG and TSM, who established their place in the competitive scene primarily in North America. These teams were super grassroots. It wasn't like some multi-million-dollar company came in and said we're going to purchase the best team money can buy. It was a bunch of League of Legends players who loved the game they played and wanted to take it to the next level. And a lot of the pushback against the proposed franchising model was rooted in this nostalgia for the early days of LoL. But despite all the pushback from the community, the points the owners were making actually made sense. Even if Riot were to simply increase the revenue that teams received as a part of the LCS, the threat of being relegated was simply too big of a risk for most organizations, which is why even iconic teams that made it into the LCS through relegations like Cloud9 signed off on the letter. Here's an example of why the relegation system was so dangerous to teams. Remember when NRG Esports had a League of Legends team? After competing in the LCS in 2016, the team fell into a state of decline with a dismal regular season performance that sent them into relegation by the end of the year. The organization that had backing from 2 Sacramento Kings owners and the likes of Shaquille O'Neal ultimately failed to defend their spot and was subsequently disbanded. Eventually, franchising officially became a reality half a year later, when Riot Games announced on June 1st, 2017, that franchising would be introduced to the NALCS for the 2018 season. Along with the changes to the league structure through the franchising model, Riot also announced changes to empower pro players, such as the implementation of a minimum salary cap, along with the creation of a players' association. In addition, as opposed to the Overwatch League's simple buy-in of $20 million, Riot announced that they intended to go through a formal application process to ensure the best organizations became a part of the league.
Sure. I mean, essentially that means that heading into the 2018 season, there'll be ownership groups that apply to be in the NALCS, and we'll be reviewing their application based on a myriad of things, but mostly, who will be the best team owners and sort of organizations to help the NALCS move forward, invest in their teams, build a better league, more competitive, hopefully compete with the rest of the world. And we think that actually will create a structure that will be one of partnership, where Riot and team owners and players are all working together because everyone benefits from the upside and the future success of the NALCS. So we think this will be a really good step for fans because everyone's working together to make their league better.
Yeah. Riot's desire to simply create the best group of owners to grow the league reflected the buy-in fee as well. Finally, just over a year since the letter sent by owners started the chain of events leading to this moment, the 10 teams of the newly franchised NALCS were confirmed. 4 seasons into the franchising model, the community is asking the same questions. Has franchising made a difference? And more importantly, is it really needed in esports? From a business perspective, it has 100% worked as intended. Apart from a few organization switches, the LCS as a whole, from both Riot's end and the team's end of things, have been able to grow immensely, with the league now having many huge sponsors such as State Farm and Verizon. In spite of declining viewership in North America, for a variety of reasons, the organizations involved with the LCS have been able to continue to grow as well, improving their branding in different ways, such as FlyQuest's various green initiatives like TreeQuest. The players are also being treated better as well. As we mentioned, there's a minimum salary cap, and the Players Association has helped to push for better practice environments after years of criticizing the state of North American solo queue, which has led to Riot's official support of Champions Queue, along with other moves to further secure player rights. While franchising as a whole has been pretty beneficial, there is one common criticism. That is, without relegations, there's simply no way for new talent to make it into the LCS. And teams outside of the LCS are stuck in this pool of playing each other over and over again with no hope of ever making it to the major leagues. At the end of the day, it's clear that there's still a lot of growing pains to be had with franchising as a whole. While there has been a lot of clear success in League of Legends, with most regions having gone the franchising route, there are clearly still a lot of cases where franchising has not panned out as expected. However, for the future longevity of esports, franchising might be a necessary model to have. That's not to say there's no future for open circuit formats or a mix of the two like in CSGO, and while fans have been quick to find issues with franchising, there will always be growing pains, and at least for League of Legends, it's clear that both Riot and the organizations in the league are all invested in continuing to grow and improve the league. What are your thoughts on franchising? Do you miss the old days when a team of friends could come together and win the world championships? Or is it good for esports? The legitimacy of being like the NBA or the MLB? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. My name's Jonah, see you next time. This video is made possible thanks to our wonderful patrons. Massive thank you to everyone on this list, and shout out to Jason B, Brendan, QB, Foxy, Mauve, Pachanas, Pin, Sierra, Shampoo, Spartacus, Tommy, and Yashichi for being platinum supporters. And an extra special shout out to Steven, Noodles, and Marco for being diamond supporters. We really appreciate it. If you want to talk to us, check out our Discord. If you want to support our channel and get info on unreleased videos, check out our Patreon. If you want to help us out in a different way, leaving a like, subscribing, and hitting the bell to stay up to date is also appreciated. My name is Jonah, thanks for watching.